The Western media has been really focused on Mariupol area. I have to tell you, to the viewers here, Patrick did go down there. Patrick, I mean, that is extremely, extremely dangerous. I mean, I don't know how you do this stuff. I mean, my hat is off to you.
This territory that I was in yesterday was the current DPR and Russian-controlled territory. Now, of course, there was the initial push by Russia and the Republic to take the city. And what's happening is the Azov battalion, the pro-Ukrainian or Ukrainian nationalist battalion, the Azov, it was estimated as 30,000 troops in the city, controlling the city. I myself have been told by almost every single interview that I've done with the refugees that are stuck in the city that the Azovs were firing from the rooftops, mortars from the rooftops, firing artillery from between the apartment buildings. And when the people would tell them to stop, they would fire on the people themselves. This is what the people tell me. This is what are in my reports coming from yesterday. These are not my words. These are the people that lived it. And they said across the city, it was just constant firing from civilian areas. And there's still parts of the city that are controlled by these militants. And there's parts in the center, very close to where I was, just over 200 meters to the points where I made it. And it's just really a hot time. And we found a school. His number school number 25 in Mariupol, and we found a military base. Well, the Ukrainian military was using the basement of the school as a base of operations. We can see burnt out weapons. It appeared that when they left, they burnt all their weapons and took off. There's many uniforms. It appeared they took off their uniforms and left in civilian clothes and burnt all the weapons so DPR in Russia would not take control of the weapons. Just piles of just burnt up weapons. Nazis in their ranks. This is a fact. You can find it on social media. I mean, they broadly show the swastika on their social media when there's photos all over the place of the Azovs doing the Hitler salute. And it's a fact that the Ukraine military does have these Nazis in their ranks. And this is what Putin, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, said he wanted to do, denazify Ukraine.
In that city that you're in, just so the viewers understand, the importance, why there's so much fighting, but who lived in that city? First, that's my question. Who was living in that city? What was it, more Ukrainians or was it more ethnic Russians? That's my first question. My second one is, in its current stage, how is logistics getting any food or water or communications or anything into that city it's a few 100,000, isn't it? Is it not?
You're referring to Mariupol still,
yes,
yes?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, the city itself was about 500,000 population before this, and last week it was estimated that there was only 300,000 left in the city. Just the day before yesterday, there was a new estimation of only 100,000 left in the city. Yesterday, I saw many people throughout people alive, to be clear, throughout the streets. Coming together in communities, helping each other. And there is actually, to go back to one of your other points, of when you're entering the city, what you see is, as of yesterday, it was the first day I personally saw it, but right now there's a huge supermarket. Well, it used to be a Metro, I believe it's called Metro Pick and Pay, which has now been turned into a humanitarian aid distribution center by Russia and DPR, where there's thousands and thousands and thousands of these refugees, or soon to be refugees, I guess you could say, that are taking humanitarian aid from Russia. But even in part, just blocks away, where we're talking to some of these refugees, they don't even know that that's happening. It's because they don't know what's happening 50 meters from them, because they're all living in their bomb shelters and just constant shelling from both sides.
So
because Russia
was most of the population
Azov pulls back. Go ahead.
Was most of the population in that city, were they 50-50? Was it ethnic Russians, Ukraine? Can you explain the diversity of the city? Who was living in there?
For that city and the rest of Donbass, this area, what the West calls Eastern Ukraine, which if you say that here in Donetsk, people get very offended at you because they don't consider it part of Ukraine. But what the West says is Eastern Ukraine is mainly ethnic Russians, and that goes for Mariupol and even farther than Donbass. But for all intents and purposes, we can say Donbass, which encompasses the Lugansk and Donetsk regions, which is the Lugansk and Donetsk People's Republic, are vastly ethnically Russians, and Russian language is only spoken here. There's no Ukrainian language. The Russian ruble is used. It has been for years, since the beginning of 2015. These are Russians. These are all for all intents and purposes, these are Russians, and they want their territory to be part of Russia.